Hello F11 members and welcome to the Fundamentals of Post-Production video tutorials for issue 81, October 2018. On the screen in front of us we have a picture from my recent shoot on the border of the UK and the Republic of Ireland. Excuse me, this is County Armagh in Northern Ireland, and it's currently in the news, and it's also the subject of my behind the lens feature this month. So I thought we'd work through the post-production of this shot, an image that I very much wanted to make to illustrate the story because the border runs right through the picture from left to right. It's a great use of a panorama, I think, and so let's start with how I put this together. Now it is worth thinking, why do we need to produce such wide pictures? They do not actually suit many formats. Indeed, they look useless on a screen, particularly on an iPad or a phone. But you'll probably noticed our own website, the F11 photography website, uses these banner panoramas right across the top of the page. And also at Photokina just this year, I've just been working on an image which is going to be reproduced, this kind of format, some 4 or 5 meters wide. Looks absolutely fantastic to see pictures reproduced that big. And if I just zoom in on this image here now, you'll see just how the detail, the clarity is just stunning. Obviously it's made up from so many images that the actual quality of the image is superb. That's the town of Fort Kill, by the way. I'll zoom back out again, and if you just look at these, the image size here, which will come up in this window here, you can see it's a whacking almost 50,000 pixels wide, which if I equate that into centimeters, printing at 300 dpi, gives a native resolution of 3.5 meters wide without any interpolation up. So that's amazing, isn't it? So let's go back now and go into Lightroom and see how the image came to be. So I've selected the pictures that I want to merge as a panorama, and here they are flagged, starting from the furthermost image on the left right through. Let's just get rid of these panes on both sides of the image for the moment. Just by hitting tab there, I can do that. And I'm also going to reduce the size of the thumbnails so we can see a bit better what we're doing here. And here are the images to be merged, as you can see. So that's 5, 10, 15, 16 images to be merged. I shot vertically, and so as I said, it's going to produce a massive picture. First thing I'm going to do is just hit tab again, bring my panes back into play here, and I've selected the first image in the sequence here, and what I'm going to do is just go into the develop module now, and I'm just going to apply profile corrections. So for some reason it's selected the wrong lens here, so what I do is now force it to select the correct lens. I don't know why it does that, but there it is. It was shot with the 100 to 400 lens, so select that, and now I'm going to come back into library module, keep it in develop module, and then select all of the images to be merged here down the bottom, and click on synchronization here, and it's going to apply those lens corrections to all the images. Okay, so next thing I do is go back into library module now and come up here to the top bar where it says photo, click on that, come down here to photo merge and click on panorama. I'm sure you've done this many times before. I still think it's magic. Now, clearly, Lightroom is creating a preview here, and it's dealing with a lot of information, 16 high-resolution images. So it's going to take a few seconds to do that. So I'm just going to pause while that's happening. So it's done that. It's come up with the preview now, which looks promising. You can see I've got auto crop on here. That's basically trimming out all the white bits around the edge of the picture. Now that's not a deal breaker. I can fine tune that subsequently, whether the auto crop is ticked or not. It's not actually throwing away any information here. And you can see it's selected cylindrical projection, which I think works best most of the time for landscapes. But you can, of course, experiment with other perspectives. But cylindrical is the one to go for in my book. So that's the preview. So now let's get it to actually do the merge. So I click on that and it's working away at creating the panorama. So it's going to take a minute maybe, so I'll just pause you while it's working on that. So the reason I apply lens profile corrections to images to be merged is because it'll essentially deal with the slight vignetting that is prevalent in every image, and that makes merging the images easier for Lightroom, particularly when there's a lot of blue sky. That's not the case here. We've got a fairly heavy sky full of cloud and drama, so I probably could have got away with doing that without doing that, but nevertheless I think it's good practice. And up it's come with a panorama here. As you can see on the right, here is the image that I've done before, my test, and here's the one that has now been merged. And so let's have a look at that. Let's go into Develop Module and have a look at it. Okay, now it looks like this bootlace of a picture here, but I think it's good material to start to get to work with. And looking at the image, it's showing a little bit of clipping of the highlights here in the sky. Really difficult with panoramas to expose for the center of the picture, for example, with an 180-degree field of view as we have here. Obviously the exposure in the center of the image, which is what I normally peg the exposure to, is right to retain all the detail in the sky. But obviously over here, where I'm starting to shoot very much into the light, it starts clipping in the sky. But I think I can pretty much hold that back, retrieve that. So let's go to work on this picture and ask ourselves what needs doing to it. So the first thing I'm going to do, as you've probably got used to me doing so often now, is to just look at my black and my white points here. And of course here I come to my black point, hold down the Alt key, move the black to the left and adjust my black point until I start to get just a hint of clipping down there at the bottom of the frame. And I'm going to do the same with the whites. Well, I can't, because the clipping is already telling me, the indication is already telling me I'm clipping whites there. So actually what I'm going to come up and do is use my highlights to pull that back until I retrieve those tones there in the burnt out sky. Good. Made a start with this picture, but it's all a distant view, so I'm actually going to apply a touch of dehaze here. Now, pretty clear conditions, so I don't need much, but I think I'm going to put a touch in here, around about plus 20 there. And you can see that's had quite a radical effect on the image. It's made it actually essentially, I need to come back and readjust my black points now, because dehaze does that. It does start tweaking black and white points, so I'm just going to pull back my blacks a hint to recover those blacks. And I think the landscape here is looking a bit too dark, so what I'm going to do now is actually just put in on my tone curve, bring it up the brightness a touch, and put a hint of contrast in there by pulling the black point down. That's looking good, isn't it? We've got some lovely tones in the landscape down here. It's looking a little bright over here, as you would expect, because I'm shooting into the light there. Next thing to do is to deal with the sky. So let's use the grad tool to do that. And I'm going to just pull down on the grad here, move it down here, so, and then introduce pull back highlights on the graded area, pull back the exposure. Now what I don't want to, it's starting to make, if I go too far, it starts to make the sky look distinctly dingy. But then again, I do want that kind of tone and drama in the sky. So I'm actually going to add some contrast here, which has the effect of dealing with that dinginess. Pull back the exposure a touch. And I think that's made quite a difference, don't you? Let's just click on done. And let's just pause and consider how far we've come and what I still need to do. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in on the image now and look at it in a bit more detail here. And you can see that's zoomed in way too much, really. Go back to fit and come in again, Command plus. That's a bit better. I can move my window around as I want to. Just checking sharpness here. Incredible, isn't it? You look into every farmyard. Come out on my size a bit. I'm thinking down here those trees are looking a little bit dark, so I'm going to use an adjustment brush here. Click on Show Selected Mask Overlay here. Adjust the size of my brush down applicably and just paint in the area here that I want to select. Come up to click off Show Selected Mask Overlay and then just boost the shadows a touch in that area. That's good. Done. And now what else do I need to do? Well, I'm going to deal with this area of the image here. And so what I think we're going to do is we're going to carry on working in this picture in part 2 of this month's video blog. So we'll see you there because there's still a fair bit to do. I need to adjust the crop. I need to deal with the washed out area of this picture. So we'll carry on there. See you in part 2.